Whether you're dreaming of becoming a lead teacher, stepping into your first director role, or leading a thriving child care program of your own, you don't have to figure it out alone. Welcome to the Child Care Director's Chair, where leadership coach, speaker, co-author, and multi-center owner Erica Saccoccio shares the wisdom she's gained from decades of leading successful early childhood programs and developing future leaders. Each episode is designed to help you use your voice, lead with confidence, build a positive workplace culture, and become the kind of leader your team is excited to follow. Expect real talk, big laughs, bold leadership truth, practical strategies, and the encouragement to believe in yourself every step of the way. Because when Erica teaches leadership, she's teaching what she's lived. The Child Care Director's Chair is proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow, supporting childcare leaders with innovative technology that helps build stronger programs and stronger family connections. Together, they believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. Pull up your chair, future leader. Here's Erica Saccoccio.
One. When we talk about the future of early childhood education, we often talk about funding, staffing, quality, leadership, and workforce development. But there's another conversation we need to bring to the center of the table. Where are the men? The question is not simply how do we recruit more men into early education? The bigger question is, what are we doing to make sure they feel welcome, supported, mentored, and able to build a meaningful career once they arrive? Today's guest is not just talking about representation. He is talking about creating something meaningful, a pathway where male educators can enter this profession, find community, and grow as leaders, and see a future for themselves in early childhood education. So welcome back to the Child Care Director's Chair podcast, where we have real conversations about leadership, people, and purpose, and what it takes to move early childhood education forward. Today, I am joined with Anthony Toombs, as you know, Ant Toombs from the Playmaker Project. He is with us today. He has nearly 2 decades of working with thousands and thousands of child care professionals in the early childhood field, dedicated his life to supporting children. The Playmaker Project is built around the belief that children are better able to see themselves and see the good in themselves and in others in the world around them. They should be surrounded by safe, loving, joyful, and optimistic adults. So welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Erica. Very happy to be here.
Yeah, we're very happy to have you, Kim. Anthony, tell folks a little bit about yourself and the journey of how you ended up here in early childhood.
You know, it's an interesting journey, and thanks for asking, because it's a path that's unexplainable sometimes. But when I start and when I start to reflect and sit back, it's interesting why I'm still engaged in the work here and why I'm so connected to the field of early education and prioritizing it in my life. So, you know, I'm a jack of many trades. I come from a housing development project. You know, I grew up in Orchard Park Projects in Roxbury, Massachusetts. So I'm a real Boston kid, you know, went to Boston Public Schools, real Head Start kid, Boston Public Schools. And, you know, it wasn't easy trying to navigate just growing up, living a regular life. And what do I mean by a regular life? You know, a regular life that a child should have, you know, full of joy, full of love, full of safety, full of ways of feeling empowered so that you can be actively engaged in your passion and your creativity and flourish out here in the world and be a contributor to society in a meaningful way. And, you know, I felt like growing up, Erica, that I was cheated a little bit because of the paradigm that, you know, I grew up in. It was a housing development. And to me, that's a real paradigm way of growing up. Like everyone's kind of thinking the same, and the, you know, single mom households, dads are not around because of the pressure, It's a long story if I really get into it, but I'm just kind of laying the foundation. That's who I was as a kid. I was that kid who was impacted by the paradigm ways of growing up in a housing development in Roxbury, Massachusetts. However, I was a curious kid, curious about creativity and passion, and I was able to escape a little bit by making some strategic choices. And those choices led me to becoming a helper in the same community. Looking back at the young, trying to figure out, how how's it going to make sense for a young Black boy? The way that somehow I was able to make sense out of what this was. And outside of education in the classroom, there comes an ego strength with each individual, and that individual can only gain that ego strength by leaning into someone who looks like them. So I know it's a long path that I'm sharing with you right here, but I'm going somewhere with this. Hold on.
I'm here for it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
We need models to be present for other young people so that they can understand the importance of being present, being helpful, while maintaining your joy, while maintaining the priority of your social connections, because the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to the quality of your relationships. And we must have good, positive relationships. But when everybody's being impacted by the same trauma, adverse experiences in their environment, then they may lean in and start sharing more of what the problem is instead of looking for the solution. So I felt very fortunate to be one of the ones that was able to escape by leaning into, passion, creativity. And, I started making music at a young age, and it allowed me to lock into telling stories and reflecting on what's most important for me. So now, I'm a professional who's all about prioritizing, creating safe, loving, joyful, engaging environments for children. Because I know that's where the foundation is. If you don't get to what you really love to do when you're young, man, it's really hard. You end up working really hard and trying to keep up with what society says that you have to be. But when you can get to children at a young age and help them understand that, oh, wow, the world is your oyster. And remember that play is critical and important in the life of an individual, not just a child, because I'm speaking to children of all ages, but for a child to prioritize safety so that they can have a joyful experience that's rich with connection and love, then it leads to them feeling actively engaged in this thing we call life. And then that can help a child reach their greatest potential.
Yeah.
But it's hard to see when you're growing up in a paradigm that keeps you thinking about all the things that are wrong with the world. So it takes an individual to inspire another individual, to inspire another individual to know that it's real, and we have to stay connected and visible. And it starts in the world of early childhood professionalism in that work. It starts in the classroom. Children spend more time in the classroom than they do anywhere, right? Because we prioritize, the education system on children. So if they're going to spend time in the education system, then yes, we need more men who understand the same thing that I'm speaking about here. And the long story, and I'm sharing. Thank you for allowing me to share it in this way. Because I believe that it's really important, and I know you can hear the passion in my voice about it. It's important for men to show up and stay visible in early childcare. And not just in the classroom, but everything that supports the world of early childcare. Because the children need to see men that are full of joy, that are rich with love, that are rich uh, with the ability to empower and inspire, and they're feeling present and not just checked in because they have a job. And I know some men that are committed to the field, and
Mhm.
I want to rally as long as I can, Erica, men to the field of early childhood, because that's where our children are, and that's where the children are spending the most time. I'm
Yeah.
sure we can pick up and engage children in community, but children go to school to learn, and the best thing that they can learn is from a real model
Hmm.
versus a role model. I've been playing around with that idea for a little while. Okay,
Yeah.
the real
Uh,
model versus the role model.
yeah. You know, I want to say something to you.
Please.
Um, I'm a little bit moved at the moment, so forgive me. It isn't what you're talking about is far beyond the neighborhood you grew up, and I know that's, where you saw it. I grew up in 1970.
Okay.
My mom is Italian, my dad is Cape Verdean. Where I
Uh-huh.
grew up, I live in Warwick. Where I grew
Okay.
up, my sister and I, most of the people that were in our school district did not look like us.
Uh-huh.
There were times that, and my parents were divorced. All what you were taught, I was a Head Start kid. I was
Yes.
one of those kids who had the school lunch and the food stamps at the store and all those things. Um,
Yes.
and so this really connects with where some of my passion comes from. My mom was a Head Start teacher. And so what you're talking about affects so many children. And you have to find it in yourself, because you're right. You can get sucked one way or the other. You can really get focused on all the negative around you or the positive around you. And I was lucky, like you.
Uh-huh.
I had, although we had all those challenges, in our environment, we also were able to find joy and love in places that inspired us, and play, certainly. We were very lucky in the time that we grew up that play was a real thing, and we got to be outside, and we got to like take off and ride bikes and do roller skating and all of those things.
That's right.
And so we're very lucky. And now
Yes.
our children are not growing up in that same type of environment where you can feel safe to really just be like, see you in 10 hours, kid. Come back at lunch and you're going back out.
Sure.
So our children are not afforded the same opportunities that we had. And so
Right.
I think that also is something that really helped us grow up as we grew up, about, you know, being able to take that joy and really look for those positive role models. So thank you for, bringing that to the forefront. And it affects all kids all over the place, no matter where you are in the country. It's just, yeah, it's an important part. So let's talk about those role models and life models and real models. Let's talk about that for a bit.
Sure. Sure.
Um, so you spent many years partnering with educators and early childhood professionals. How has your understanding of what children need changed through your journey? Right, as you meet educators and you hear their stories and you share yours, how has it changed?
Well, I'll share a quick story.
Sure.
And I know it may be a little long-winded. I'll try to make it as short as possible so we can move it forward. But this was an important shift for the work that I was doing when I began my journey in the human service field. I was a trauma counselor for many years, working at the Children's Trauma Recovery Foundation. And, this is where I partnered with Stephen Gross, who's the chief playmaker over at the Life is Good Playmaker Project. And we worked in a different capacity as the Children's Trauma Recovery Foundation, responding to acute traumatic events around Boston and surrounding cities. I mean, we had a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week emergency pager. When the pager went off, yeah, we mobilized teams and we'd go out and we'd offer, some psychological first aid on the spot and be with folks during horrible situations sometimes, and I say horrible because, yeah, it was horrible. That was really tough work
Yeah.
showing up there as the Children's Trauma Recovery Foundation. And, we decided that we were going to offer therapeutic play, you know, to children. Actually, it wasn't the we, it was Steve Gross. He already did. He had the organization of the Playmaker Project in his back pocket the whole time. I'm out here racing around, responding to critical events, doing a bunch of interventions. Well, Stephen Gross was offering therapeutic play groups to children at Head Starts, after school centers. I found out one day, busted in a room with the emergency response pager, ready to do an intervention. Here's Steve meeting with a group of colleagues about offering a play group to children. And I was very interested. And I said, sign me up, man. This is great. Wow, you're offering therapeutic play groups to children. This is revolutionary to me. You know, this is preventative work to all the intervention that I'm racing around the city doing with this emergency pager. To teenagers, sign me up. Let's do some of these play groups. Well, we did some play groups, Erica, and they were great play groups often. And we realized over time we missed one thing, and this was the shift. We were giving teachers a break during this therapeutic play group with the children. They were always awesome play groups. One day after amazing play group, Miss So-and-so comes back to the group, and there's one child who's very excited. Hey, Miss So-and-so, Miss So-and-so. Yeah, this, that, and the third about the play group. And she didn't have a great break. Obviously, she handled the child and scorned the child in front of everyone. Wow, it was an amazing experience that just wasn't good for anyone. We were trauma counselors at the time, and by trade, we're mandated reporters. The idea is that we're supposed to report that teacher, report the center for behavior as such. But we went back to our trauma center lab and thought about it deeply and figured out what we needed to do to support that teacher and that educator because they were a good center. And we knew that teacher and we knew the children and we knew the quality of the program. She just had a really bad time away from the play group. So what we decided to do was invite that teacher and her colleagues away for a retreat. And at that retreat, we played for an entire weekend with the teachers. And it was a game changer for the entire
Mm,
program. Yeah. They had never been the same. They had never been exposed to the idea that the important thing is to keep what's important important. And in this
yeah,
case, it's to prioritize play. But you can't spread what you don't have. So
yeah.
by taking teachers away for a weekend retreat, they were able to engage, connect, and explore for self. And that's when we realized, wow, that's the gold. Yeah, we can't go around the world and play with all the kids in the world, but what we can do is support the frontline childhood professional who spends the most time with our children.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah. And you get that consistency because they're with the kids every day.
they're with the kids every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on the flip side of that coin, Erica, you can't spread what you don't have.
Hmm.
The truth is, you can spread what you do have. So we want teachers, of course, to show up with their most positive disposition each and every day. But life be lifing.
Yeah. So, what would
Yeah.
your advice be to the folks that are listening right now? Because we do have a workforce that constantly is talking about crying out, really, at this point, that they're stressed, that they're overwhelmed, that they're burnt out. What would your advice be, or what are some strategies that, I mean, obviously you do a whole week session with them, but maybe if you could just talk on a few points that maybe could help them, things that maybe they could implement right now for their own self-care to be joyful and come back with their best self.
Yeah. Right now, the best thing that we can do for ourselves is to stop. Just stop for a minute. Just just stop, you know? And I don't know if you mind to practice this with me, but I like to invite you to do
Yeah.
something. And this is very brave for us to do right now while we're on the podcast. But bring your hands in real close as you can, but don't let them touch, Erica. All right. And then we're gonna take a nice deep inhale and expand your hands off to the side as you inhale. And now exhale, bring your hands back in real close as you can, but don't let them touch. And inhale again and expand your hands out. And exhale, bring your hands back in real close. And inhale. And exhale. And one more time. Yeah, and exhale that. Yeah, that's a little what we like to call warrior breathing at the Playmaker Project. But if you really peel it apart, it's simple square breathing, correct? We're
Hmm.
inhaling for 4 seconds. We're holding our breath for 4 seconds. We're going to exhale for 4 seconds, and we're going to hold it out for 4 seconds. Let me repeat that 4 times and being intentional about breathing. I have a simple question to ask you right now. How do you feel after that simple warrior breathing
I,
experience?
I feel great. I feel great, but I always feel great. No,
You,
I feel good. I feel refreshed. I feel
sure.
like when you breathe, that helps you clear your mind.
Sure, sure. And
Yeah.
sometimes we simply need to take a breath and clear our
Mm,
minds. And we
yeah.
know it. Sometimes we do it, but we may do it quick and just
Yeah.
pant and breathe it right out and just get back to it. And again, you can't spread what you don't have.
Yeah.
And I already flipped the coin to say, well, we can't spread what we don't have. So if we're anxious in the moment, well, guess what? We're going to spread some anxiety. And I'm not just talking about to children around us, but we may be spreading it to other adults around us.
Yeah.
And then, when I was in grad school, Erica, I was fascinated by one simple concept, and that was enough. I was done with the entire experience after this in grad school. It was the idea of transference and countertransference of energy.
Hmm.
So, we can have a conversation just like we're having right now. And if all of a sudden I whip off my glasses and I look at you like this because of something that you said, you may change what you're saying to me. You may
Yeah.
ask me, why did you look at me like that? Because I sent the particular energy at you. And we can change the conversation. And sometimes we don't need to change the conversation. We simply need to be present. But in order to be present, you have to be well, right? And where I'm going with this idea is what was so fascinating to me is that sometimes we create anxious energy around us and we want to blame others for
Mm,
creating the energy. And then we don't own up to it. And all of a sudden, we're being impacted even more because we're spreading the energy and then it's being reciprocated back to us. And now it's overwhelming to our physiological system.
yeah.
And when we're overwhelmed in our physiological system, it's really hard to engage that somato energy that gets really locked up. And then once your body energy is locked up, eh, you show up like this, preserved, instead of open,
Yeah.
exploratory. And if this is what we want for children, yeah, then it's going to make it difficult if we continue to show up like this, preserved, because more is caught than taught. Others are simply watching and
Yeah.
gaining from the energy. And we can try to show up and say, hey, here's what you need to do, everyone. Here's what you need to do. But that energy goes nowhere. And that goes for, providers in the classroom. And it also goes for the support team, education managers and supervisors and directors. If the energy is
Mm,
locked up, then yeah, we may spread locked up energy.
yeah. For sure. Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. And people can definitely read that. Children, particularly, my grandson's really good at it. Sometimes, if I respond to him, he'll ask me, "Grandma, is that sarcasm or are you being serious?" I'm like, Nope, that's a fact, honey. I'm being serious about what I'm saying right now. I'm just making sure you're not being sarcastic.
Yeah, yeah.
But he'll ask that a lot. He'll ask that a lot. Like,
Yeah, sure.
so yeah, your energy or your tone, right? They pick up on it really quick.
That's right.
So yeah, kids definitely, they always have their feelers out because that's what they do. They're kids. They're exploring the environment. They're exploring their environment and you're a part of that. So really, really important. All right, let's move the conversation over to men in early childhood education.
Okay.
Why is this issue so personally and professionally important to you?
Personally, to me, because
Mm,
I am going to expire.
fair.
Yes. Period.
Yeah, that's
That's
fair.
it. That's it, Erica. I can show up and I can engage children. Sure. I can show up and I can engage the folks that are with children every single day. Sure. I can. And that's great that I can. And I'm saying this with all humility. It's
Of
not me.
course.
It's
Yeah.
much bigger than me. I'm just the vessel. I'm just the one that's showing up and being an agent so that others can see me showing up in this capacity and then
Hmm.
gain the understanding that, oh wow, it can actually be me.
Hmm.
So my hope is that others that look like me specifically are able to become inspired and then show up to become me. And then my role is obsolete.
I always say this. So to me, you are a natural leader. And so naturally, this would be the way that you would think because leaders multiply other leaders. And so we know we can't do the work alone. It's not about being boastful. It's about knowing each of us plays a part. Each of us has an impact and
That's right.
calling others to the forefront. Say, come on, like let me show you the way, but we need more of
Yes.
us. So
That's
often
right.
we hear people say, we need men in early childhood education, but the conversation usually ends there. So,
Mm.
what do programs need to understand about recruiting, welcoming, supporting, and retaining male educators?
Yeah. What they need to know is that men need to be respected in early childcare.
Hmm.
And there's layers that stop men from feeling like they're valued. And in particular programs, because I know some male educators that have evolved and become principals or
Hmm.
directors, center directors. Some men even have their own childcare centers in
Yeah,
various places. It's rare, but you do see it. And I love to see it and I love to learn from them and learn why they're sticking around. And the why turns out to be the same reason why I'm sticking around. It's like, well, somebody has to be it now so that others can see. Yeah, it's important. We need each other here, and others are not really paying attention to the importance of men and early childcare. So that's the piece that they're missing it. They're missing it. Women are doing a great job. Of
yeah.
course, I love it. I love that women pretty much dominate. The early childcare field. However, there are boys that are in childcare, and boys need to see men with the same capacity of
Hmm.
joy and love, with consistency, that feel safe, that also feel empowered. Because again, more is caught than taught,
Hmm.
and young boys need to feel empowered. And if they learn that men are also empowered in early childcare, you see, maybe they will be inspired at a young age to be in early childcare. And we know that early childcare is important. Again, it's the preventative measure. It goes back to the beginning, Erica, why I
Hmm.
shared that long story. You know, it's the preventative measure.
Hmm.
And if children are able and afforded the opportunity to engage, connect, and explore with other men as an example around them, also engaging, connecting, and exploring and showing them the way, helping them with their disciplines. And again, discipline is a lot of people get this misunderstood. Discipline's not punishment.
Yeah.
Discipline is guidance.
Hmm.
And young boys, fine, yeah, you could be guided by women. Women are moms.
Sure.
But young boys also need that. And young girls also need to see men in the capacity of caring in the classroom,
Yeah.
caring at, in out of school time programs, caring in home
Yeah.
care. Yeah, in those capacities.
I feel like as somebody who employs people, and
Hmm.
owns multiple childcare centers, I think there's a couple things in addition to that. I feel
Yeah.
like the school age community is
Hmm.
is much more welcoming to men in the field. I don't know if it's that correlation of that there are many male teachers in elementary school, so it is, pretty widely accepted. I think it's when we start hitting 5-year-olds and under that there is some of that. I don't want to use the word taboo, but I don't have another word. Like, like it's should we not? The answer is you should.
Hmm.
And the other thing that I noticed in the many, many years that I've been in this field, in the last 10 to 15 years, I have seen such an influx. And those of you who own schools, I want you to just think about this for a minute. What is the influx and the change that you have seen and who's dropping off and picking up children? And I'm going to tell you now, in the last 10 years, more than 50%
Yeah.
of the people dropping off and picking up in my childcare facility are men, are dads. Dads are coming on
Sure.
tours. Dads are
Sure.
100% involved. When you have, obviously when you have a family that has a 2-family, and I even have some dads that the dad is the one who's the only one that we see. The dad is the
Sure.
one that is enrolling. So I think not only do we need a space for the boys to feel comfortable, we need a space for the fathers to feel comfortable too. And
Yes.
maybe they want to talk to another, a male educator. Maybe there's something they feel more comfortable with. Maybe it's a subject that they're like, oh, I really, want to get this gentleman's perspective.
Hmm.
I can tell you that I have right now, currently, 7
Hmm.
male staff on my team.
Awesome.
7. One being my son-in-law, who has been in preschool since COVID-19, so since 2019. He is literally one of the favorite teachers in our entire program. He
That's
connects
awesome.
with the kids, the families love him. Yeah, so don't be afraid to bring in male educators into your program. Just don't be afraid. They're going to bring such a different perspective and a different feel. And honestly, I'm going to say something because I can say it. You don't have to say it, Anthony. Sometimes when we get a lot
Mhm.
of women together, we need someone to break up some of that female energy, cattiness, whatever happens when a lot of women get together. Don't worry, Anthony. You didn't say it. I did. But it happens, and I have to tell you, it's a nice mix when you've got a little bit of diversity. That's the word I'm going to use. Diversity in your teaching
Yes.
team. So,
Yes.
I said it, you did it, but we need diversity in our teams. Um,
Absolutely.
what do you think? Let's talk about this for a second. Do you think the recruiting comes because, what about the way that we're writing ads or where we're doing the job fairs and things like that? Like, are they written? Are we intentionally writing them to be like mother's hours? I mean, I see that in ads, mother's hours. Okay, what are dad's hours, right? So, are we intentionally, if we want to recruit more men, maybe we have to think about how we're writing our ads. How we
Yeah,
where are we recruiting? Recruiting at the tea party or
that's
we
good.
recruiting at the tailgate? Like, I'm just saying, where are you recruiting?
That's
Um,
good. That's good,
yeah, I
Erica.
mean,
Yeah, that gets
I've
back to the marketing of it all. Like, who's actually doing the marketing? And I'm just saying, uh,
yeah,
are there women marketing to men? Or are there men marketing to men?
yeah. Just
You
even
know,
think about the images that you use when it says now
right.
hiring.
Mm-hmm.
What are the
Mm-hmm.
images? Like right? We talk about diversity a lot.
Yeah.
And we talk about it in our programs. Like, we know best practice says that we should have inclusionary programming, right?
Yes.
It isn't just
Yes.
posters. It isn't just books. It isn't just in dramatic play. It's in real life, folks. And I'm probably going to get in trouble. I'm probably get some messages. Shut up, Erica. But I'm not going to, because I'm just not. I'm just not. I've never been one to hold back my opinions.
You're
But
all
I
right with
do.
me.
I've had this conversation at times with Dr. Calvin Moore too at the CDA. I am very
Yes,
passionate about what you are trying to do, and I will be here to support it however I can. So
yes. Thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. So
Yes.
what do you think the big barriers are for male educators, like when they come into the profession? From a male perspective, what do you think it is?
Yeah, of course there's the money.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always the number one, or the perception of where, what the money is, and how much you could actually earn for yourself. Because,
Mm-hmm.
if a man wants to be the head of the household, then he has to provide. If he's totally going to commit, I believe that if you're a full-time educator, you don't need to have a second job.
Mm-hmm.
That's a full-time job and it needs all your attention. You need to you need to go home and rest at the end of the day. It's same for a lot of women, and I know that's not true for a lot of educators. I know a lot of educators doing other things because the pay. So, of course, that's an ongoing issue, right? So we can throw that up and down. That's one thing. But again, we spoke about value and also camaraderie.
Mm,
Yeah, that's the main thing, and this is the whole reason why I'm so adamant about having a playmaker specific men's retreat
mm,
where, it's men exclusively that are either entering the field or maybe looking to renew some hours because we are ISA accredited. And you can renew your hours by via your professional development, your certificate at Playmaker University and such. And even if you come out to a retreat with us, you can apply those hours as well, even towards your CDA, if you need to renew your hours as um, for your CDA. And of course, it's international. You can apply in any way you need to as a professional. But the idea is to get men together exclusively without any women in the room.
mhm,
Because I know sometimes it's like, oh, well, that one woman wants to stay in the room. And that's great to support. And then, but sometimes men won't tell the entire truth because there may be some stigma. And it could be
mhm,
something simple about the obvious, okay?
mhm,
Changing diapers, something so simple. Yeah,
mhm,
we're talking about 0 to 5, right?
yep,
Yeah, something that simple.
mhm,
And men want to be able to speak freely and get
uh-huh,
advice from other men that are professionals. So I'm looking to replicate this model, by the way. It's not just a one-time deal. Get
okay,
men together. Yeah, to
yeah,
engage, connect, and
yeah.
explore.
And I think that just kind of goes back to my point of dads also need that, right? So when you're having parent boards and things that like, things like that. Are we inviting the fathers into our parent boards? Are we inviting them to help? We always call them when it's time to fix the playground. Like let's think beyond that, guys. Let's think beyond that. But
Yeah, it's
how are
always
we?
that.
Yeah, how are we when we're writing our parent newsletters or sharing information? Are we sharing information for fathers?
Uh-huh.
Right? Or grandfathers, right? I mean,
Hmm.
there's lots of male role models, uncles. I mean,
Sure.
there's lots of male role models in
Sure. We're not telling
children's.
their stories is
Yes,
enough. Enough. And
yes.
somewhere you can find it.
Hmm.
You can find it. I know men in
Yeah,
ECE in DC.
yeah,
They're doing a great job there.
yeah,
Jamal Berry, these guys are doing a great job. I know a few guys that are doing a great job galvanizing men,
yeah,
in certain territories in the DC area. But again, it might be that area
yeah.
specifically. And, what I'm talking about may have a slightly different shift in thinking. Again, is to get out of our heads so that we can prioritize again what's most important for us. The same way, it's the reason why I believe so deeply and I'm so passionate here with you now, Erica. You know, I believe if you are able to engage, connect, and explore for yourself, specifically with other men, freely. This is the playfulness I'm talking about. Freely and joyfully engaging, connecting, and exploring. That's what
Yeah.
we're up to around here. And if we
Yeah.
can help men remember and prioritize that, then maybe we can, help them understand the importance of gravitating around the field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love your thought too, because I think this. I think representation matters, but representation without belonging, it's not enough. So we cannot invite men into a profession and then leave them isolated. And we cannot say that we value diversity while continuing to operate with, policies, language, and workplace practices that make certain educators feel as though they don't belong. So if
Sure.
you're doing it in your center or you're a leader and you're not, have the conversation, right? It's okay if we have reservations around things, but have the conversation of
Uh-huh.
where do we go to move forward, right?
Sure.
So I think that that's important as we start to wrap up. I know I probably talked more on your episode than I probably should have, but let me ask you this, because I really enjoy our conversations together.
It's all right.
Let me ask
I
you
like
this:
talking with you as
is
well.
is there anything that you would like to leave the audience that I haven't asked you yet?
Well, because we started talking about the importance of men in early childcare, I want to speak directly to the men that may be listening, or to those that are really close to men that know and
Hmm.
that you know that are interested. Um, Stay connected to the Playmaker Project. I'm Ant Toombs. I'm one of the founding members over here at the Playmaker Project, and I'm not just showing up for just to have a job here. I'm showing up because I really believe in what I'm talking about here, and we need you. We're starting a movement. You know, check for us. Playmakerproject.org. I'm Ant Toombs, man. Come see me. I hope I'm really speaking to you because I know that's the only way we're really going to hear it. I can tell you this and I can tell you that, and I can give you a bunch of professional jargon, but check out the website. Yeah, get it for yourself. I know this guy, Bessel van der Kolk. He's an amazing trauma guy. He's over at the Trauma Center. He wrote the book, The Body Keeps the Score. All right. And, we asked him a question. And he said, Bessel, what do you say to people? And he said, people say to me all the time, yeah, what do I want to do? What do I do, Bessel? If I really want to help people get joy, what's the best thing that I can do? And his answer is always the same: get it for yourself. So just like Erica spoke of just a little while ago, it's one thing to have a spark, but to stay connected, yeah, that's what we're up to over here. We want to give you community. And as long as I'm around, I'll make sure that you stay connected to community. Yes, let's connect the
Yeah.
dots.
Yes. So you're in California, am I correct? You're in California?
Yes, I
All right.
am.
So for those of my friends, my New England people, my Rhode Island, my Mass, my Connecticut, he's gonna be everywhere, but I'm excited because he's coming to my neck of the woods, 2026, 2027. Antune is going to be keynoting at several conferences. You want to drop a few of the conferences that I know you have a lot, but drop a few of the conferences you're going to be at coming up.
Oh, all right. I will do. Yeah, sure. I'm at the Rhode Island AEYC.
Hmm.
I'm in Maine at the Maine AEYC. And yeah, I'll also be at the Georgia AEYC this year.
Nice.
So, I've been prioritizing the AEYCs because I know about the extensive network there. And while I could also show up at national, it makes sense to show up at a more boutique AEYC. So I hope in your area, if you're in Maine, if you're in Rhode Island, if you're in Georgia, you know when the AEYC conference is. Show up there and be prepared because I will be there to engage, connect, and explore with you.
Yeah.
So
I'll be
hope
following
to
you.
see you there. Yes.
I'll be following you. Guess what? You can catch me at Rhode Island AUIC. You also can catch me at the main AUIC. You can
All
catch me
right.
at Flacy and all the AUICs because I also love AUICs. Let me ask you as we start to wrap up. You keynote a lot. I have lots of listeners on here who also speak and do breakouts and stuff. What would you say your best piece of advice is to a new and upcoming speaker?
Mm, mm. Know your audience. Believe in your content. And sometimes, as a speaker, we all have our thing, the thing that you go to all the time. And we don't want to show up cookie cutter and just have our thing. We want to really make sure that we're speaking directly to the audience. You can stay with
Yeah.
your niche. That's why you're invited into the situation in the first place. And that's why, you even apply to show up in the first place. You have something to share. So believe in your content, work on it, connect to the organization, learn as much as you can, because we want to make sure that we're providing excellence to the communities that we're serving. If you're speaking to our audience, man, show up with everything that you have. Be here now. Engage in your own joy. Make sure that you're showing up with your most positive disposition, because we can't spread what we don't have.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Um, I said before we close, what's one last message you want every early childhood educator and
Yes.
leader listening today to remember?
Yes, yes, yes. So, I kind of just spoke it, and I'll say it again because we all need the healthy reminder. It's a priority. I'm not talking about play as a fluffiness, okay? Again, it's to freely and joyfully engage, connect, and explore. And if we truly want that for the children and the families that we serve, we must prioritize it for ourselves, because you cannot spread what you don't have.
I
Yes.
love that. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being such a great guest. For those of you who are listening, you want to follow the Playmaker Project in Antune, look for the opportunity to go to one of his keynotes. We're going to leave his links below so you can check him out, follow him on Instagram and all the places that he's at. And I want you, after listening to this, I want you to look around your organization. Are male educators represented? And if they are, do you generally feel that you are doing everything you can to help them feel like they belong? And of
Uh,
course, I love the message. Let's spread joy. I am always happy. That's why I'm laughing on every podcast.
yes.
Do what you love. Do what you love. That's what I believe in for sure. And as always, guys, I love and appreciate you taking the time with us today. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Before you go, ask yourself, what's one leadership lesson you'll put into action this week? Then share one takeaway with your leadership team, because Erica believes that great leaders don't just grow themselves, they help others grow too. Ready to keep growing? Join Erica inside the ECE Trailblazers Leadership Membership at childcaredirectorschair.com. Proudly sponsored by Watch Me Grow. Together, we believe leadership isn't a title, it's an action. And we'll save your chair for next time.